Yeah.
This show's brought to you by Poor Life Decisions.
By capitalism.
That's capitalism, baby.
Capitalism and preservatives.
Hell yeah. Welcome to America.
All right, here you go.
Thanks.
Oh, no way. Oh my God. No way. Oh my God.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 117 of 1 Million of the Serial Chillers podcast. As always, I ask, how goes it, Cromulent Jesse? You're going to hit the theme song?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I have my own. Nope, stole from Greg. I am well.
It comes with the seat. And so, frankly, so do I.
Gross. Mm-hmm. That's why we don't switch chairs when we do this. I make you sit in your own chair.
Sit in it, pig. I'm here today with Bigfoot and Robbie. Super excited to have you guys here. Welcome back, both of yous.
Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Jerry. All right.
My voice is so played.
Well, you got to pick between me or the voice.
So we're really not doing the voice?
Hello. So most of you know how the show works, but let me explain for anyone that doesn't. Each week, he sits down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell the story of an infamous serial killer. Something true crime, dark, creepy, unsolved, or otherwise mysterious. If something isn't clear, be sure to chime in, because if you have questions about the questions, be sure to ask questions, because I cannot answer questions about questions if you never ask questions. Are there any questions?
No.
Nice. I fucking nailed it, and maybe. You guys don't have any questions. It was clear and concise. We're there. All right, well then welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast. Today, we are going to talk about some of the worst people imaginable.
Christians.
The United States government.
Oh, okay.
The United States government. I know Casey's a big fan, so we've done this before. You know how the show starts. Question number 1. In what year did the US government start using the Edgewood Arsenal facility?
Oh, Jesus.
All right. Robbie says 1950. Casey says 1927. The points go to Casey. It was 1917 when the U.S. government started using it. It was used in the production of war crime gas.
Oh.
Right after World War I. So now that we've broken the seal on the show, let's do some full guest intros. Casey, welcome back. Yeah, that shit fucking happened. That happened.
Samurai chatter.
Brought back
Give
the
it to
OG.
me. Give it to me.
So welcome back. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, sir.
Say
Appreciate
your
it.
thing.
What's going on, guys? Hit me up. Bigfoot Designs. BIGGFOOT Designs.
Love it.
On Instagram.
It's cool to see you making knives and stuff now too. Seeing you like forging.
Thanks, man.
I saw your shifter knob.
Oh yeah.
That was clean.
Yo, I drive a manual.
I
Just saying.
Well, it's just cool to see your, like, when we started was right about the time you started.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I remember like giving you a stack of skateboard decks, and you were like turning, old scrap wood on a lathe, and now you're out like forging steel into dope.
Dude.
Like,
got an anvil and shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's a dope process to watch,
It's
too.
fun.
It is.
It's a very fun process
Just seeing
to
what
watch.
I've seen on the internets has been quite fun. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Robbie, welcome back.
I'm out. And that's it for me, guys. That's it for me.
We've peaked. This is it.
Always go out on a high note.
Thank you and good night.
Yeah.
I figured you'd appreciate that.
Oh, man, I
and,
love
and
you
you
so
didn't
much.
let me down. You made like 6 Seinfeld references before you even got to the fact that you had a
Seinfeld theme song.
theme song. There you
Listen,
go. I couldn't find your old one. That's why, because your old one was you going.
Good. Hello.
Oh, very good. Hey, you guys are theme songed up. That's it. Everybody remember, people ask for the theme songs back. I'm working on it. All right.
We're making it happen.
We're working here.
All right, well.
Yeah.
Thanks for being back, guys. I really appreciate you being here. This is going to be a fun episode for me.
And they're getting liquored up too. And
yeah, hey, whatever. That's good. You're going to need it to get through some of this. Reference works here for this episode. The internet at large. There's a documentary that came out in the 80s, I believe. It was like a CBS News broadcast thing called Bad Trip to Edgewood. Ooh. And that's where a lot of this came from. Last podcast on the left did a 2-part episode, or 2-episode deal about the Edgewood Arsenal. So some information came from there. Some of it came from just the fucking internet at large. There's some weird shit.
You're allowed to reference your own brain too, Greg.
Yeah, so some of it came from my coconut. For anybody who's interested, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Serial Chillers Podcast, YouTube at Serial Chillers Podcast. You can check the Threadless store. We've got new stickers in the store, Patreon, all that stuff. There you go, serialchillerspod.com. You can call us or text us, 805-666-2513. Send us an email, serialchillerspodcast@gmail.com. We've got a P.O. Box, P.O. Box 1229, Clovis, California, 93613. You can see it on the screen. If you can't see it on the screen, why aren't you watching this? And you're missing all that good information. Also, lonelyfans.com. The Edgewood Arsenal facility. In 1917, the Edgewood Arsenal was founded for the U.S. to test chemical weapons for World War I.
What a consummate professional. That was a tough segue to make.
Yeah,
for sure.
From my spread open cheeks to war crimes.
Yes.
I feel like they're similar.
I feel like,
there's not a lot of friction.
Those spread cheeks is...
Those gears aren't going to grind. Yeah. They're too simpatico. In 1948, they began using Edgewood Arsenal to experiment on people. This is a place up in Maryland, so it's here in country. Super not suspicious that right after they started experimenting on people, like this happened to be the time just after World War II, where we were like taking a bunch of Nazi doctors and like... So the Russians didn't get them. So obviously there's more than
we didn't.
Obviously there's more than just Nazi doctors at play here.
We were taking actual paper clips, sir.
Yeah, they were actually. This actually was part of Operation Paperclip. But obviously, again, it's more than that. But you'll see how the parallels to the Nazis get drawn. This place was operational in this capacity until 1975, allegedly. So allegedly it stopped around then, but we don't know for certain.
It's happening today.
It would not surprise me. It was used as an experimental chemical facility for the U.S. government. So the Department of Defense, they wanted to know what chemicals they could use to stop and incapacitate or kill their enemy. And what better research than firsthand on people? They also wanted to know how to keep their soldiers safe. So, you got to assume that if we know how to make mustard gas, the enemy knows how to make mustard gas. So we got to know how to protect ourselves from mustard gas. So that's kind of the U.S. Military industrial complex mindset is everybody out there's a bad guy and they could be doing all this shit because we can think of it. If we can think of it, they can think of it. If they can think of it, they can make it. If they can make it, we got to be prepared for it. So we got to make it. And that's how they trick themselves into getting around stuff like this, where it's obviously a fucking war crime to be using chemical weapons. It's a violation of the Geneva Convention, plain and simple. But
look it up.
But they're not.
They're
not making chemical weapons. They're making defense for chemical weapons, but they have to have something to test, so they got to make chemical weapons.
Right. Is that like a loophole?
It is.
Yeah.
And it's an intentional loophole.
Right.
So personally, this whole thing, again, reeks of Nazi experiments where they claim to be done for science, but it's really satisfying some sort of weird frat boy morbid curiosity. Where you get a bunch of guys together and then eventually it gets dark and somebody's like, dude, how many people do you think you could eat? If you had to eat a person. And you know what I mean?
Don't ask him that.
I mean, I could probably eat a lot if I had to. But
that's
I'm more of the mindset of
1.6.
I just
people.
You guys as my friends, right? If I die and you're still alive and you have to eat me, please eat me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know if I could eat a person because I really dislike cannibals, and I don't care if a cannibal hears this.
I think, according to native folklore,
real big
you
with the cannibal
absorbed their
audience.
powers, though. So you could become like a
I don't
superhuman.
I don't want their powers. I hate cannibals. I hate the idea of cannibals. I hate cannibals.
We were all mad stoked when Issei Sagawa died.
I was pretty pumped about that. He was
What's
just
that, Asian
walking
dude?
around. What's that?
That's
Yeah,
it.
He said
an
the
Asian
fat
dude?
looked like corn.
dude, he ate people and then got like
We ate
almost
one
no
person,
jail. Yeah, but almost got like almost no jail time.
Did
for
you
it.
guys do an
He
episode
was
on
like
him?
a celebrity.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We did a side story on him.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So Edgewood was used in the creation and manufacturing of chemical and biological weapons, as well as the chemical intoxicants for use on humans. Just in case you weren't sure, biological weapons are a direct violation of the Geneva Convention. According to the UN website, in 1925, Geneva Protocol prohibits the use of chemical and biological weapons in war. The protocol was drawn up and signed at a conference which was held in Geneva under the auspices of the League of Nations from the 4th of May to the 17th of June, 1925, and it entered into force on the 8th of February, 1928. So 20 years before these guys are doing this shit, it's already like more than a capital offense. This is like the big no-no. But they're like, we got a loophole.
Yeah.
These experiments were very similar to ones that were performed during World War II. A lot of it does. I mean, it gives off that feel. A lot of the soldiers that they experimented on during this time were unwitting in the things that they were doing. That's
I had no idea.
That's the thing that kind of almost makes this like that. It adds insult to injury.
I loved when I asked you to clarify this. You said, okay, so they were testing chemical gas and they would send them out in like a new cargo pant. Like that's how like pointless like some of the
they were
This is
legit.
made out of rayon.
What they
Definitely not going to
Do
die.
these come in khaki?
what they wanted, like they wanted to know how the gas affected somebody's face and lungs. And so what they would do is be like, hey, we're testing how the cargo pants affect, like how well they protect your skin. So go ahead and go in there. And he's like, well, he has a gas mask.
he's
I
testing
want
the
one of
gas
those.
masks.
And they're like, nah, you're probably fine. And just gassed him out. And like this, I'll talk about the chamber later, but they have a gas chamber and they call it a gas chamber. And like one of my biggest,
Poor choice of words.
right. You'd think we would have learned. We're right after World War II. But these guys like,
They're like, no, we got the patent now. Fuck yeah, it's our term.
and the insult to injury is they're taking our soldiers. They're pulling guys off of the front lines at Vietnam, in Korea, and experimenting on them, and then being like, "All right, bye." Yeah, but the main difference again is that the people who were in like the prison camps and stuff weren't volunteers. They were being genocided, so they didn't have a choice. These guys got told, you'll get extra time off. We'll give you an extra 4 days, or you don't have to do latrine duty. You don't have KP. You don't have any of this stuff.
You might not have to work ever again.
Well, that's the thing. They fucked these guys up and then sent them back.
Just like, go ahead.
Yeah, like go live a life. Go back to war. Go be normal. And
Do we know like
Yeah.
what happened to these people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look what
we'll
Christian
talk about
said.
it.
The
Oh,
cargo pants, they do nothing.
Yeah, they don't.
The goggles, they do nothing.
So they were told they would receive like extra time off and be able to sidestep certain duties. Guys would sign up for this because, like, imagine you're in Vietnam and people just died from like a poop-covered bamboo steak, and I don't want that. But they told me I can go take some caffeine pills for like a weekend in Maryland, and I don't have to be here. I'm on. Like that's But it was more than caffeine pills sometimes. Right. They'd be told they would be testing the effectiveness of certain protective gear and non-protective gear to see how it does against chemical agents. Legit, again, some of these guys were told they would get to see how effective cargo shorts were against tear gas. One guy gets cargo shorts, one guy gets a gas mask, and they see who lasts longer. Like, and it's... So what...
Is he allowed to form a gas mask from his cargo pants? He seems to have done that.
Yeah,
Is that within the rules?
he took his shirt off and he peed on it to make a gas mask. He's like, what? Is that okay? Shut the fuck up. So some of what happened was they were using tear gas. They also developed something there called VX gas. VX was a variation on what the Nazis used in the gas chambers. Question number 2.
I forgot.
There are questions.
What does VX stand for? Is it A, nothing, just some cool sounding initials? B, volatile, extremely. C, violent execution. Or D, venomous agent X?
Volatile, extremely.
D. Both of them say D. I feel like was that an easy question? Do you feel like?
No.
No? I don't know. I don't write questions often, so I'd like to know.
Is that points for both of them?
It is points for both of them.
Hey.
VX is short for venomous agent X. It's one of the best known of the V nerve agents and was discovered at Porton Down by Ranjit Ghosh in England during the early 1950s, and it was based on research first done by Gerhard Schrader, a chemist who working for question number 3. He worked for a German company he worked for a company who contracted with the Nazis during World War II. It was a German company. Was it A, Volkswagen, B, Coca-Cola, C, IG Farben, or D, Hugo Boss? All right. Robbie says C, IG Farben. Bigfoot says A, Volkswagen. Give Robbie the points. It's IG Farben.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a German medical company.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, a German industrial company. Like they make a lot of products.
Oh, okay.
And
Very industrious.
yeah. So
Also into latex.
he worked for IG Farben in Germany during the 1930s. VX is now one of a broader of V series of agents, which are classified as nerve agents and have been used as chemical weapons in various recorded deadly attacks. So VX fatalities occur with exposure to tens of milligram quantities via inhalation, absorption through the skin. Basically, VX is more potent than sarin. Sarin,
And it can just kill you all the way. You breathe it in, it just touches you.
yeah, like
Cool.
another
Cool,
man.
man.
Agent with similar mechanism of action. So nerve agents, are you familiar with how those kill you?
Yeah.
They just shut your body down. Sarin was used by the cult Shinrikyo a couple of times in their terrorist attacks, like the sarin and subway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was sarin.
sarin
The
gas.
problem that
Right.
these guys have with sarin is that it doesn't last long enough. Once it's out, it disperses too quickly. VX is thick and sticky and kind of oily and like it's everywhere and it sticks to you, and like exposure to the skin will fuck you up. So on such exposure, these nerve agents severely disrupt the body's signaling between the nervous and muscular systems, leading to prolonged neuromuscular blockade, flaccid paralysis of all the muscles in the body, including the diaphragm, and death by asphyxiation.
You said flaccid.
I did, and I mean it in the most literal sense, too. Like, ain't nothing rigid. In addition to gases like VX at Edgewood, they worked on psychochemical compounds.
Ooh, now we're talking.
I was gonna say like I said before this started, some of this stuff were the four of us would be like, doesn't sound like a bad time.
All right, could I get just like one huff of it? Or
Right.
Do I have
Well,
to take
see,
the
and
deadly
then
dose? Or
in context, it is a bad time because like acid, not bad.
well,
Lots of acid,
Well,
lots of
really
acid.
bad.
Like 100 doses, bad.
bro, I am straight up not having a good time.
Yeah, some of
It's
the
like SLC punk.
It runs the sprinklers.
some of the when he was crouched on the kitchen counter. So the experiments began with animals and they moved on to human test subjects, as you do. Question 4. They gave LSD to a cat.
ooh,
How did they administer LSD to the cat? Was it A, an injection? B, put on a Grateful Dead album and let him discover it on his own?
Ooh.
C, like aerosol vapor? Or D, just dunked his face into a bucket of liquid LSD?
Sounds like a good time.
This, I was going to say, this shows you how much faith people have in our government by how they answer this question, too. Because, like, just give him a little shot. Or did they hold his head underwater in a bucket of liquid LSD? So, Robbie, what'd you say?
C.
C, aerosol. Casey says D, dunked his face in a bucket of liquid LSD. They did use aerosolized LSD, and they pumped it into a chamber. Like, they put him in, like, a little glass box. They made him his own little kitty gas chamber.
Bigfoot, you're supposed to guess what it actually is, not what you want.
What he wished it was.
Yeah, they made him his own little kitty gas chamber.
Oh, that's so cute.
And you can watch the video. It's in this documentary. They put him in there, and then they just, like, you see, it looks like a fog machine almost, and it's just aerosolized LSD. And they pump that in there for a while, and then they set some mice loose in there. And this cat just has a bad fucking time with these mice. Like, they touch it, and he, like, freaks out, and he jumps, but he jumps too high and hits the top, and then he's all freaked out. Like, he's just a cat on LSD being terrorized by, like, 4 or 5
Just
little
forgot
mice.
he was a predator.
Yeah. The cat couldn't walk properly. It was an enclosed tiny little space and certifiably freaking out, like, having a bad time. They tested animals again before they tested people, which makes sense, but it's still sad. Just a little cat on LSD. It makes me feel bad for the cat.
Not the people?
No, fuck the people. I mean, not the people who got experimented on.
Yeah.
Fuck the people who gave the cat LSD.
Yeah.
Like, unless that cat came up and was like, hey, I want some LSD.
Yeah.
Don't give a cat LSD. They can't handle it. I can't handle it. They can't handle it. They use the
Not
animals.
with that attitude.
That's why I don't do it. The animals were used as benchmarks. They dosed a monkey, a rabbit, and a cat and like a bunch of fucking soldiers.
A monkey.
Yeah, they dosed the monkey.
I asked this question the last time because this episode got fucked up and we're doing it again.
No.
I was like, oh, like a rhesus monkey or something, right? Like something small. And he was like, no, full
like
chimpanzee.
a chimp that they sent to
I was
space.
like, wow, how did they not just decide to rip their
Just
fucking
Yeah.
faces off?
Because it was on a bunch of fucking
He
LSD.
was living in a different universe, bro.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it evolved beyond violence.
They never even actually sent a monkey to space. It was just a monkey on LSD telling
That's
his
what they.
story.
That's what they.
Now
Like,
it's just canon.
I read comic books, bro. I know what happens to monkeys when you give them LSD.
they learned to talk.
And they have superhuman strength.
So yeah, the monkey got a space helmet type thing, and it had a hose that blew aerosolized LSD into it. What animal did they use to test gas masks? Was it monkeys? Was it dogs? Was it goats? Or was it cats? And this is at the point in time, like, again, right after World War I, right after World War II. And gas masks were like a bag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just like a head sack. Robbie says B, dogs. Casey said, what was it, monkey?
Wait, B, which one was goats?
C.
Oh, shit. Okay, dogs.
No, is that what you want?
I want goats.
You want goats?
Yeah.
Goats, monkeys. Robbie gets the points. They did use goats to test the
Sorry.
efficacy of gas masks.
Sorry.
They would dig trenches around a tower, like a what are the scaffolding?
Goats are the closest thing to man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the monkey would be, but also I feel like trying to do this to monkeys would result in faces getting ripped off,
Yeah.
like that scene in
Oh,
Nope.
but not giving them acid.
What? I don't think that's a good idea either. But
For the record.
yeah,
They're both bad decisions.
yes. So they would dig trenches around like a scaffolding, and then they would tie goats to stakes in the ground at like different distances. And then some had gas masks, some didn't. And then they would drop like a small gas bomb down the scaffolding, down the middle of it. And it would go off and then disperse the gas. And then they would like come through after everything cleared out. And like some goats with gas masks were just standing there freaked out. And then there's just like a bunch of dead goats. And you're like,
Shit.
yeah, what the fuck? Lots of goats died.
Is the meat tainted after that, or can you eat
I feel
them?
like it probably would be.
Yeah?
But because this
It
stuff,
has to be, right?
well, because this stuff affects the skin.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
So, some goats died. Lots of goats died. Some got to look cool in like a bag gas mask. It looked like kind of like a Slipknot album cover.
You said there was video of this stuff, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. You can watch the documentary "Bad Trip to Edgewood," and you can see the footage of like the cat in the box and the monkey in the space helmet. So from there, they moved on to people. They were hoping to find a drug that would allow the soldiers to be lethal, forget what they did, be brutal, and not get hurt.
Oh, Hitler already did that. It was called meth, right? Didn't that?
Just give everybody meth.
We'll see.
Wasn't
That's
that
the
the
thing.
deal?
I had that it says right here. They were trying to create super soldiers of sorts. Sounds like another famous group of baddies that we've already talked about, like the Nazis.
We do have skulls on our caps.
Are we the baddies? The good guys never have skulls on their caps. I used to have a video in here. It was Hitler at the 1936 Olympics, like.
Oh, when he was all tweaking out.
Yeah, and I had it
out.
titled Tweakler. And,
touching his leg over and over.
yeah, and when I went to open it up for this,
All
I was
mad
like,
that the Aryans are getting shit on by black Americans.
Like Jesse Owens.
Yeah.
the video was taken off of YouTube, so I was like, so one of the guys that participated in this, his name is Dr. James Ketchum. He was a retired Army psychiatrist. He retired from the military as a colonel. He did his psych residency at Walter Reed Hospital from 1957 to 1959. He joined the Board of Research there in 1960 and was asked to join the Psychochemical Warfare Studies at Edgewood until 1969. He was in charge of the volunteers for the program, so he was in charge of getting people to come on in.
Yeah.
He said, I really don't think it would have been possible to obtain this information without using human volunteers. Which...
How did he convince? Oh, actually, no. We talked about that.
we talked about
Yeah,
it.
they
He-
kind of
convinced.
just
They
fucking
say-
lied to him.
Yeah, volunteers.
The problem is these guys volunteered to test things.
Like they
but
all did volunteer, they just didn't know what they.
they
were
didn't
Right,
know what they were
right, right, right.
volunteering for. So question number 6. Ketchum oversaw a variety of tests, including one called the Cloud of Confusion. What was the project heading for this assignment?
Oh.
Was it A, Project Greenlight, B, Project Grill Flame, C, Project Artichoke, or D, Project Dork?
Was it Dork that band Pharrell was in?
Both of them say C, Project Artichoke. Both of them are wrong. Project Artichoke. So these are all real things. Project Greenlight was a show on Showtime about getting
Yeah.
shows greenlit. Project Grill Flame was the astral projection thing. Yeah. Project
Astral Projection was
Grill Flame was the start of the astral projection thing. Artichoke was the start of MK Ultra.
Yes.
And then Project Dork was the Cloud of Confusion. Project Dork
You
was
don't know me. I'm a rock star.
it was essentially a massive trippy cloud that they used to incapacitate soldiers from like 500 to 1,000 yards away.
Yeah, like have you ever
Dang.
seen that episode of Rick and Morty, The Fart? It's just a bigger one of those.
yeah.
Pretty much.
I rather like this name. Fart.
They designed this to keep Russian trawlers from getting too close to the coast of Alaska. They would just shoot these like
Clouds?
yeah. It was a cloud. It was like a rocket that would like go over the top of them and then burst, and then because like I said, these gases are like thick and heavy, they would fall over the top of these boats, and so everybody who like imagine it goes off
All
and
of the sea life is like, why humans? Why do you have to fight this way?
so like imagine it bursts over your ship, but you're like, I'm inside, whatever, and then the cloud settles. And you go outside and you grab the handrail and look over the edge. It's oily. It's on there. So now it's on your hand. So it got you anyway through secondary contact. And
Oh, God.
And it's
Yeah.
like the mist, and there's giant weird alien insects inside of the cloud.
I mean, so he's not wrong because this is made from BZ, which is different. And we'll talk about that. But question number 7, this guy, this Dr. Ketchum, he was also a lifelong friend of Sasha Shulgin, who created what? Was it A, MDMA, B, LSD, C, DMT, or D, cough syrup?
I like them all.
I was gonna say they're all. I mean, they're all a
D.
pretty good time. Robbie says D. Bigfoot says A. Give Bigfoot the points. Sasha created MDMA.
Tripping balls tonight, boy.
Yes. And these guys, when I
rolling.
said earlier that it's like frat boy energy, it is legit frat boy energy. Like, walk up to somebody with a fistful of powder MDMA and go,
And then you
bye.
Is that what all these things floating around in my drink were, Frank?
Like they said they would just. I drank that, man. Is that what all those little paper pieces were? When did I put Green Man on? So some of these guys who were brought in for the tests were told exactly what's going to happen. They're like, hey, we want to see if caffeine is good to keep you awake and alert. We want to see if nicotine's good to keep you awake and alert. So we're going to keep you guys awake for 36 hours. You're going to get coffee. You're going to get cigarettes. You're going to tell us how you feel. That happened. Some of these guys
Sick.
were like, here. They draw, like a nurse comes in and she draws a little circle on the back of your hand with a Sharpie and then leaves. And another nurse comes in with an eyedropper and puts one drop inside that circle and writes down the time and then walks out. And then you're in a fucking acid trip for 3 days with complete amnesia afterwards.
That's wild.
Holy shit.
That's BZ.
wild.
Yeah.
That's what this cloud was that they were shooting over these ships.
I'm kind of down for that. I ain't gonna lie.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm kind of down for
In context, it sucks. Somebody was like, hey, take this and take a week off. Okay. And like the guy used to take the BZ and like drop it in people's coffee. He'd be like, hey, we're having a staff meeting. We need all the doctors in here this morning. And then
That's not fucking cool.
he'd be like, I
man.
need to talk to, you have the floor, go ahead, speak. And they turn and they're focused on him. And he'd be like, boop, boop. 2 drops in this guy's coffee. Guy finishes his coffee and then just gone for 3 days. So Private Lyman Lewis, he was told that he'd be testing gas masks or over-the-counter cough syrup. They told him he would get a 3-day pass every weekend and no latrine duty, no guard duty, and no KP. Some of these guys were being told that they were going to be testing riot control gear and gases. So they're like, okay, we're going to, in case they use gases on us, that's why we're giving you these gas masks. Some guys weren't told anything other than where and when to report. Just be here at this time, and that's that.
And they would do it.
I mean, you're in the military. That's what you're trained to do.
Yeah.
You're literally trained to not say no.
Yeah.
They tell you to march off a cliff, and you're supposed to march off a cliff. So
Or else you're AWOL and you're going to prison and you're facing death.
desertion, baby.
Hey, shouldn't have signed on that dotted line.
Ask that bow,
my guy.
dude.
So some of these guys got their faces sealed into the same kind of box we saw them use on like the rabbit, because they just held like a rabbit's head and stuck it in a little box, like in a little hole in a box. Some soldiers were told to drive their tank and not deviate from the course, and then they would drop a cloud of gas on them and their path and make them drive through the gas. They'd be like, get from A to B.
Tank sounds like a good vehicle to be under the influence of a 3-day amnesia. LSD.
Or VX.
Either way.
Dropping that to see how well it penetrates the
Either way
armor
is
of the
good.
tank.
Yeah. Either way.
It's got a
Either way's fine.
ventilation system on there. It's going to get sucked up in there. So, yeah.
What type of? I wonder what type of ventilation system. Like, can it get through any ventilation system?
I don't see
Like,
why.
if the tank has some crazy like HEPA system or whatever, like, would VX make it through?
I don't think so. I don't, especially at this time. I don't think they had a system
It
like
needed to like get in.
right, but they also it could get in. But yeah, so from 1955 to 1975, over 7,000 soldiers were tested on. Roughly half were
7,000.
roughly half of them were tested with psychochemicals like atropine, scopolamine, and BZ. They also produced GB or sarin gas and ricin. They were
Shout out Walter White.
They were involved in identifying the gas used in the Middle East to justify Operation Iraqi Freedom. It really doesn't get any better from here. Private Lyman was
Judge was like, thanks, boys.
Private Lyman was asking what they were injecting him with because he was scared and not sick, so he didn't need any medication.
Yeah.
They were just like,
Shut up and take it.
yeah, like it's like
You can't say no.
I've never gone through boot camp. But I know people who have, and like they say you stand there, they roll up your sleeves, you march down, they stick you on this side and this side, and they give you your inoculations, your vaccines, whatever, and you just march on down and then see the pecker checker and move on. And
the military was one of the last places that still used like the jet injections. You ever seen those?
The air, those
Oh, yeah.
air
Yeah, where like
injections?
the military was like still using those like much later than the medical.
it doesn't surprise me because the military probably bought a surplus of 10 million of them, and we're like, oh man, we've got these for the next 30 years.
We're gonna use these till 94, 95.
Yeah, like because they have them. Why not? But that's typical government waste. So yeah, Private Lyman, he said he wasn't sick, didn't need any medication, wanted to know what they're sticking him with. They wouldn't tell him.
That's fun.
Sometimes it was atropine, which is used to treat nerve agents or pesticide poisoning.
Ooh.
If you get pesticide poisoning, they'll give you atropine to help with that.
So
Shout out Monsanto.
Do you know what it does to you if you're taking it and you don't have pesticide poisoning?
So it can be used to prep for certain medical procedures. According to RxList.com, symptoms include fast heart rate, high pressure in the eyes, abdominal blockage, worsening urinary retention, and mucus in your airways. That might require you to get medical help right away if you have any of the symptoms listed above. The most common side effects of atropine include dry mouth, blurred vision, and lack of sweating or sensitivity to light and dizziness.
This is a Cialis commercial?
It's
every medication that's
because of shit like this. That's
This
why they have
medication
to
will
put that at the
literally kill
bottom
you.
of all those commercials because of stuff like this. People not knowing what they're getting into with medical stuff, and it's not through no fault of the people involved except the doctors. Scopolamine was one that they gave him. It's been in use for centuries. They used it to create zombies back in the day. Like
Haitian zombies.
yeah, they would when people were really really sick, they would use scopolamine and it would put them in like a waking coma, and so they could perform simple tasks and stuff like that. So that's where you get like the brain dead zombie coming back from the dead because they would shuffle about. They could carry a box from here to there. They couldn't perform like complex equations, but they could move about, and so they were like the living dead, and that's where zombies came from. According to the Mayo Clinic's website, scopolamine, you can get scopolamine now at like a hospital. They have like transdermal patches, which are used to prevent nausea and vomiting after anesthesia, narcotic pain medicines, and surgery. It's also used to prevent nausea and vomiting caused by motion sickness. So scopolamine belongs to a group of medicines called anticholinergics. I don't know what that word is.
That works.
Yeah. I probably put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
We're not doctors.
Yeah, definitely.
We
Science.
haven't said it in a couple episodes, but we probably
But I read
should.
about
Yeah,
it.
if you're using this
In a book.
episode,
In a
if you're
book.
using this show for research,
Don't.
It's not a good idea.
Like we're not your boss.
It's true. I'm not your
true.
boss.
I'm not your dad. Do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
You're not my space supervisor. So yeah,
You're not the manager of this car.
this question, so BZ, that shit from Project Dork, originally developed to fight gastrointestinal issues, adopted and tested by the military in 1951, has psychoactive effects very similar to very, 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 very strong LSD. Unfortunately, I kind of blew this question. So, how long do the effects of BZ last? Closest to the answer gets 250 points.
Ooh, we gave you the answer, but I don't remember it.
I don't remember it either.
Casey says 3 days. Robbie?
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, 3 days. Lasts for roughly 3 days.
Great job, boys.
Yeah. It gives you a loss of motor function and amnesia. So like it buckles you as well. Like you're not walking around at a Grateful Dead concert. You're not walking around in Woodstock for 3 days.
Yeah.
You're crumbled in the corner because your legs don't work. And
But
according
you're living in another fucking universe.
yeah.
I want to go in a K-hole.
Some of the soldiers would be led into small rooms and strapped down to beds. Some would be packed in a 9x9 room with only a light and no working door handle. They'd be led into these small rooms and then gassed to unconsciousness, revived and gassed again. These doors were only allowed to remain open for about 5 seconds. Like they would open it,
1, 2,
Get
3,
in.
4, 5.
shut. If they left it open for too long, the gas would get out and not be potent enough.
I was gonna say I've even been in like bathrooms that were hot boxed where I was like, that door needs to be open for longer than 5 seconds, bro. Get it open. I need some fresh air in here.
yeah.
So that
That-
makes it even worse that there was like a moment where it seems like you might get to.
It was a big vault door with a little tiny porthole window, and it had a handle on the inside, but it
It
didn't
didn't work. I feel like that makes it worse.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah, you're like,
on!
come on!
It's like
Yeah.
Frank being in the
porta potty.
trash can, but he thinks he's stuck in the RV bathroom.
Yeah. Did you shit in there?
How much acid did he do in that episode?
A lot. Not as much as these guys, but a lot.
But a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, regardless of what you just went through in the gas chamber, you've got 5 seconds to get your shit together and get the fuck out when that door opens. If you don't make it, see you in 10 minutes when we open it back up.
Fuck.
So the government does this to people, but Ted Kaczynski's the bad guy.
The government
Come on.
did this to Ted Kaczynski.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He's the bad guy?
Yeah. Some of these guys were told that they'd be testing drugs.
They're like,
mean,
hell yeah,
honestly,
give me
though,
drugs.
If you told me that, I'd sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give me
but
drugs.
That seems ambiguous at best.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because like
but-
legit, sometimes some of what they tested was like, they called it red oil, but it's honestly that,
Yeah.
which
But it's not THC.
it was.
Oh, okay.
No, it was THC. Like they took super concentrated,
Which is
like
concentrated.
Yeah. I mean, these say they're 89% THC or whatever.
This
I
is-
doubt they really are. They might be, but what these guys were getting was like 99%
potent,
THC.
Yeah, but I wonder too if it's like tornado scales where it's like an F4 and an F5 are like, you know, an F5 is like 20 times worse than an F4. It's like maybe 83% THC is like fucking high, but 99 is like, oh, it'll actually probably kill you, you know, like
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
So these guys are given red oil, which was essentially like 99% THC.
Like I would
And then-
Greg and he's just like
Yeah, like that's but that's what I'm saying. Like if somebody was like, "Yo, this is 99% THC. Smoke this and then tell me how you feel." Okay.
it'd be like Homer
Yeah.
for the sour candy. They're
Yeah.
like, it's the most-
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you could smoke this and Greg's already
Yeah. You say it's 99%?
oh, you can.
It
Yeah.
was like 96, I think.
So some were told not to question their marching orders, and they were given the injection not knowing what was in it, what it would do to them, or why it was being tested. Some guys got it easier. Some guys were given caffeine and nicotine, and I have a couple theories on why. It's I believe they were covering their ass, so when people inevitably talked about what their experience was, they were like, "It was cool, man. They just had me like smoke a pack of cigarettes over a weekend, and like
Is that to stay awake?
yeah, or like, you know, or not even that. They had me run a mile when I got there, had me smoke a pack of cigarettes and then run another mile. And I think so
stings
so
the
that some of these guys, you know, one guy's like, I had fucking 4 days of LSD and it was the worst time of my life. And cuz if they
You
don't
know, some of those guys, though, probably were like, yo, that was the best time of my life.
some of them, yeah, and there's we'll get to that too. But you know, if you don't know what LSD is or how it's going to affect you, and you've never heard of it, and it's 1948, and you just came from Korea, or 1950, and you just came from Korea, and they're like, here, and they inject you with something, and like your body can't metabolize it, so it's just straight to the bloodstream, straight to the brain, and you're just out for 4 days with no recollection of what happened, but the whole time they're asking you to do math problems. Like, it'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
So,
How many
fuck
Koreans
you.
does it take?
yeah, and
What's
they,
6 plus 6? Triangle.
yeah, and they're just like grilling you about shit. So like,
Just crying and shit.
Yeah.
it was a way to have
Don't know.
it was a way to have people give an honest opinion on the experience that they have and have it be positive. For example, I went to Edgewood and they gave me coffee and cigarettes. They had me try something called cargo shorts while I ran a mile with some equipment. Pretty sweet overall.
They had me try something called
Cargo.
Yeah.
Super breathable.
Yo, they
As a-
didn't always exist. Okay.
As opposed to a guy who was on acid for weeks.
No one's gotten a hand job in cargo shorts since Nam.
That's why they were like, these have the quick release zipper. Also, they were likely looking into something about nicotine steadying the hand. You know, like have a cigarette, calm your nerves.
doctor recommended.
Yeah, these are the cigarettes recommended by your doctor. And this is all starting shortly after some of the same doctors who were Nazis were giving drugs to the SS to create super soldiers.
They're called Camel non-filter, and we think they're the healthiest of all the cigarettes.
Hold 'em
Newports,
up.
Baby.
Hold 'em
So
Give me those Newports.
they had a soldier run an obstacle course, and this is in the documentary, and they filmed it, and it's fucking hilarious. Question number 9: what drug was given to the soldier before he was asked to run the obstacle course? Was it A, LSD, B, PCP, C, MDMA, or D, good old caffeine? So Robbie says C, Paul sucks. Bigfoot says B, PCP. Give Bigfoot the points. It is PCP. They gave a
The way he said that was,
It's
B,
angel dust, Holmes.
I ain't been right since.
They gave a soldier a startling amount of PCP and then a set of instructions.
Tie game, by the way.
How many questions left?
That was question 9, so 5 questions left. So they gave a soldier PCP and a set of instructions. They had him run an obstacle course that they had set up, like out in the forest in Maryland. And then after the end, they asked him what his set of instructions were prior to the course. Like, they gave him orders, had him run the obstacle course.
And then be like,
and then at the end, they were like, what did we tell you before? So,
shit.
basically, they asked him, he couldn't answer because he couldn't focus. They had him run the course. Like, you see him, there's a platform that he's supposed to run and then drop off of. And it's 6-7 feet high. It's not scary. It's just tall. And you're dropping into like dead leaves on the ground. It's not anything. They told him, don't touch the platform to get down. Meaning just step off the edge or jump off or whatever. He gets down on his stomach and then like scooches around so his legs are hanging off and then like lowers himself down to get off. And this is a guy who's trained to follow orders. And he can't follow a simple instruction like step off the edge.
Yeah.
How
far?
They're like, fuck, how are we gonna get
like
them
I said,
to kill
like 6 or
Koreans
7
if you
feet.
can't even do this?
Sorry.
Yeah, like 6 or 7 feet. So it's not like it's like coming off the top of a ladder.
Yeah.
But also, you're in peak physical shape. You're in the military.
All right.
So.
Or like any kid on a skateboard has jumped.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody who ever watched Jackass has jumped off a 6-foot ladder.
Not me.
No?
Fuck no.
You never had your friends tackle you off a ladder because they think it would be funny?
If a ladder came out, I was not hanging around that ladder.
It's a ladder match.
Yeah. I was more of a chairs guy.
So yeah, they told him not to touch the ground, the platform. As he did that, he laid down and kind of swung off.
Yeah.
There, the logs like that they have you like hop over like a fence.
Over, under.
Yeah. He got to that and like laid on top of it and like hugged it to get over. Mm-hmm. Like no sense of balance, no equilibrium for being up on this thing. They interviewed him afterwards and he was just gassed.
Yeah.
Dude was spent. It took him longer to finish the...
Yeah, because he spent way
he probably
more.
thought like,
yeah.
it is life or death.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
thought...
way more energy.
He thought he was fucking flying.
Yeah.
And he was not.
No. Did it say how long it took him to do it?
I don't remember the exact...
4 days.
Like, I wonder, like...
I don't remember the exact, but it was...
He was sober by the time he got finished.
It was quite a bit longer than they expected. So out of breath and spacey, they asked him if he was cold. His face obviously red from like the wind and the cold. And he's like, no, I'm not cold. They said, are you tired? No. I feel pretty good, actually. I feel like I could run 100 miles. I feel like I could do it again.
Who's he, Nate? Running 100 miles?
He just, he felt like it.
It's
Daniel
just the
Bacon.
beginning.
Yeah.
Question 10. What caused the soldier to become distracted during his post-game presser? Was it A,
Presser.
a missing button from his uniform? Was it B, a bird that landed behind him on a branch? Was it C, the microphone of the interviewer himself? Or D, was it just the drugs?
He said, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Was it a missing button, a bird, the microphone, or the drugs? Robbie says A. Bigfoot says the bird. Robbie said the button. Give Robbie the points. It was a missing button on his shirt.
Just so focused. Like.
That can be quite distracting.
He's standing there and he's talking and they're like, So, the colonel said that he had a meeting scheduled for you. When was that scheduled for? Was it scheduled for Saturday? And he goes, today's Thursday, right? Yes, today's Thursday. Okay. Today's Thursday. And he looks down and he goes, and realizes that he's missing a button, and he just kind of starts looking in the leaves, and then he wanders off. And they're like,
That's where I want to be, man. Headspace wise, that's where I want to be.
Be here and now.
He was quickly too
Where's
focused
my fucking button?
Yeah, he was too focused on the missing button from his shirt and walked off into the forest to find it.
And then that was it?
Yeah, it ended. I feel like they gave this
Test
poor
over, man.
bastard
Let
just
him find his button.
entirely too much PCP.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Like, they're giving him, like, pure lab-made PCP, not the shit that people are getting on the streets that was made by somebody on the streets.
Right.
This shit is, like, government-made, high-quality, pure PCP, and they're giving him between...
Does anything the government do like quality?
Well, I think when they're
Really?
when they're looking to build bio and chemical weapons, yes, they're not going to skimp on that.
What does the government do that's quality?
Or they just
don't know.
overpay.
I don't know.
They
I was trying to
overpay
bait you. I
outside
don't know.
Yeah, the $10,000
overpay
hammer.
outside contractors to do the quality.
The $10,000 hammer.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Quality.
Even that, they just take the lowest bidder.
Well, see,
so.
and two, this is done at a. Some of these experiments were done at private hospitals. So, and we'll talk more about that. But this guy was just given, again, entirely too much PCP. Some of the doses that they gave these guys for the LSD and the PCP and stuff like that were between 6 and 100 doses.
Shit. Fuck.
Like,
And listen,
at a time.
I'm not a scientist, but I'm gonna just go out there and say that's too many.
Was one of these guys named Michael Ice?
Oh, fuck.
I mean, I've seen guys on cops. They're far more athletic,
He's gonna
coordinated, and
see
focused.
this.
They're far more athletic, coordinated, and focused than this guy ever was. Or maybe he wasn't given PCP. That's what I think. Maybe they gave him something else. Or they just gave him a whole lot of fucking super fierce PCP. But I feel like if they dialed it back a skosh, it might have worked and they might have got what they wanted.
This guy lived? Do we know that?
Yeah. He lived. He survived. He was
Found him
He
in
was
the
permafried
forest
after
3
that.
days
Yeah, I
later.
mean, he was
Still had no button.
still in the facility. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
they're in a fenced-in facility. It's just hundreds of acres in the Maryland forest.
Just let him go. He can't get far.
Yeah, but like if I feel like if
couple
this
bucks.
guy had done a better job, and like not been so spacey, they would just be like administering PCP in the military now. You know what I mean? Like you think about the implications if this guy was just like a stud and took his fucking obstacle course time from 7 minutes to 2 minutes and 40 seconds because he was at full sprint the entire time.
Right.
They were like, we want you to climb this wall, and he just fucking runs through it and leaves a fucking cartoon
Yeah.
shape. Like,
Fucking Wile E. Coyote.
yeah, they're like, you would see PCP on the front lines where they'd be like, okay, we're going into battle. Go! Like, and just juice these guys up. That was the whole point of these experiments.
That's what they gave Steve Rogers. PCP.
PCP. Well, when I did corrections, there was a guy that came in on PCP, and he was able to break his handcuffs, but he broke his own wrist in the process of breaking the handcuffs.
And didn't care.
Didn't realize it until later,
he,
huh?
he didn't realize it. We saw it, and so we had to take him to the med station right away. But they're just like oblivious to it,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you give them too much, they can't focus.
yeah.
Obviously.
Like, that's anyway. So they began the experiments with LSD and dosed a small group of people except for the drill sergeant. Like they dosed like a whole platoon. Shit's fucking hilarious. I mean,
How long is this doc?
like an hour.
Okay.
It's like 52 minutes or whatever.
I got an hour.
Left,
I got an hour.
left,
Yeah.
No, so
left,
they've got
right,
him.
left.
They dosed him, and then they're like, okay, go get in formation. Like when these guys are already like rolling, and they're standing there in formation, and then like one of them's like, and then they all start to like break down, and like one guy takes his hat off, and he's looking at it, and two of them are pointing up at the clouds and talking and shit.
These guys were real lit.
Again, between
Lit.
Real.
between
Lit.
6 and 100 times a normal dose of LSD.
So is that a lot, or
I don't know what high score means, but I think they broke it. And like again, everybody's got it except the drill sergeant. So he's there trying to keep everybody.
He's got to be just more annoyed than usual.
I was gonna say he knows that they did it,
Right.
but he's still. It's like at that point, it's hurting cats.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, It's got to be frustrating.
It's like being a parent.
Got to be frustrating.
Tie your goddamn shoes.
They
sorry.
They were asked to participate in drills.
Oh, I know about it.
Yeah, they were asked to participate in like marching drills and all that stuff, and then they were asked. They were told to take like IQ tests and math tests
on PCP. I'm sorry.
On all this LSD.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they did it on PCP too. See, the way if you have a question about this stuff, like, do you think they gave them PCP mixed with LSD
I got
and
lots
then
of questions.
and then like sprinkled some cocaine in?
Probably.
Yes, they did. Because if you're thinking
the
of it,
answer is yes.
If you're thinking of it, these guys were paid to think of it and then do it.
Yeah.
Like implement it.
Like, is Jesus fully God or fully man? Yes.
Yeah. I'm neither, but both. So a few soldiers reported seeing giant bugs. Like, he saw a fly.
I feel like that's pretty standard.
He said,
you're on 6 to 100 times. Like, yeah, you're gonna see some bugs.
One guy said he saw a large fly that grew to a size that paralyzed him with fear.
Probably gonna feel some bugs too.
The one guy said he saw a large spider, and he said that it wasn't. He's not afraid of spiders. He's like, I'm not scared of spiders, but I'm scared. It was like 6 feet across.
It was a big enough spider to.
It was 6 feet across and just like on the wall across from him, and then like it would occasionally move around the room with him, and that's fucked up. But I think it's weird that these two guys.
I love spiders, but fuck that.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He's like, I'm not afraid of spiders, but the sheer size of it freaked me out.
Right.
I think it's weird that these two guys, not related to each other, weren't sitting there side by side or anything like that, but had this weird like predator prey thing with what they saw, the fly and the spider. So I just thought that was weird. One poor bastard. So they had this one guy hooked up to an EKG machine and strapped to a bed under a strobe light. They don't show this in the documentary. They don't show this in the documentary, but he talked about it. They gave him a bunch of acid and had him strapped to a bed with a strobe light hitting him in the face, and they're asking him math questions. They're
like you could have just given him the strobe light and the math questions,
and they're asking, and they're asking him fast too. They're like, take 7 from 92. Take 7 from 92. Now take 7 from that.
78.
And what's 7 more for taking from that? And they're now do this while you're on a bunch of fucking acid
and just like
strapped to a bed with a strobe light in your face.
Was I right? Was I right? You got an anger.
Oh, coming. Yeah, there was another guy that he had. They had him hooked up to he said it was like sort of like an EKG machine, but the ones that they put like on your head. Yeah. And they would make him touch his teeth together to short out the machine.
And like
yeah, it would like to like break the waves. Like it's fucked up. Then they would ask him questions again on a bunch of fucking acid with a bunch of fucking strobe lights strapped to a bed. They would be like, does your hand feel like it's part of your body right now, or does it feel like it's part of somebody else's body?
When does the waterboarding come in? I feel like
I mean,
damn.
This is just the psychochemical section of it. They've got the waterboarding's going on over in Building C.
Yeah.
You can stay with the tour and they'll take you over there last. Yeah, they were asking him questions like, does your hand feel like it's part of your body? And I got to be honest, like if somebody asked me that right now, that would kind of fuck me up.
I was gonna say your hand is already not feeling like part of your body.
Yeah, you're just like,
why do they call them fingers?
I've never seen them thing.
Whoa, there they go.
Yeah, like literally any one of these components individually would fuck me up, but combined, like that's too much. That's entirely too much. One experiment was 4 guys in a dummy base that they built in the woods. 3 of them were dosed with just a fucking shit ton of LSD, and they were given a set of instructions like listen to comms and then relay the message.
So wait, you said that there were 4 guys, but 3 of them were dosed. So there's one straight guy out there.
One guy out there who's not on acid.
It's frustrated.
Yo, shit. How has that not become a reality show?
It devolved pretty quickly, but
coming soon to Hulu.
What they found out was he started behaving like he was on acid.
Oh.
Because he was like
around that?
He was questioning it because these guys.
Am I?
These guys were having. Well, they don't know they're on acid. Yeah.
Right.
So these 3 guys don't know they're on acid, but then one guy's got the headphones on and he's getting the radio signal, and they're telling him weird fucking shit, and he's got to relay that message to this guy who has to speak it into this radio that's going back to their base. So they're relaying.
And then they turn and they're like, "Dude, your headphones aren't even plugged in."
Well, yes. Oh, wait, then who was phone?
Who was phone?
4 guys, 1 cup.
Oh,
4 guys, 1 base.
1 base.
But yeah, like, could you have
3 hits of acid out in the middle of the woods? What will happen next?
Realistically,
be sure to turn in
like
the
3
acid, 1 nut. Oh my god!
Yeah, like 60 hits of acid between
hits.
3 guys stuck in a base in the woods.
That's a lot.
Like relaying messages, and the guy eventually, like I said, started to crack up because he's like, "What the fuck?"
Like, it's kind of adapting to his surroundings.
Right. He's like, they just said purple monkey dishwasher over the thing. That's got to be it. And he's
We're
like,
gonna get him, especially for that purple monkey dishwasher remark.
Yeah. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, so he puts it on. They're like, have him listen. So he puts the headphones on, and they're like, giving just normal.
Right.
He's like, oh, okay. Like freaking out. He's freaking out because they're not freaking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it devolved really quickly. It didn't last as long as the experiment they wanted to. Like, they wanted that experiment to last, and it did not last.
I mean, are you surprised?
No, not at all.
Right?
But I think these guys were. I think they were genuinely surprised with this shit.
Okay.
At one point, outside of the
That's
psychochemical
dumb.
warfare division, there was also the chemical warfare division, and these guys were just as bad as the other guys. They may not have been giving insane doses of psychotropic drugs to people who didn't know what they were getting, but they were still testing on people who weren't aware that they were being tested on.
Say that again.
They were still testing on people who weren't aware that they were being tested on.
That's sort of the.
But signed up for it?
That's the American way.
No, this is also super against the law, and not the Geneva Convention. It's the Nuremberg Code. You have to, like, informed consent.
It's another convention.
Yeah, another really not fun convention to be a part of. So, again, these guys working in the chemical warfare division, also shitbags experimenting on people without their knowledge. So, yeah, these guys were not giving insane doses of psychotropic drugs to people who didn't know what they were getting. They were testing on people who were just not aware at all. They were testing on the general public.
Sick.
Again, super against the law.
Well, what do you mean on the general public?
Like on people at large.
Like, hey,
Like you
do
just
this.
like
you just spray it in the air in a certain city, and
like Operation Big City, where they
like chemtrails,
where they flew the crop
real.
duster planes. They flew a crop duster plane over San Francisco and sprayed a bacteria over the city to see how it would affect people, and like 11 people were hospitalized because with complications from it. And like 4 people died.
But they classified it as what? Like so these people
they classified it as COVID.
Okay.
I mean, like,
but these people go to the hospital,
right?
They got complications
from a bacterial infection,
and that's it.
Yes, they had a bacterial infection and it killed them, and it happened to coincide with it happened to be the same type of bacteria that was sprayed from this plane. So. Yeah.
We can neither confirm nor deny
it
was the bacteria
they
that
drove,
we sprayed.
So here, this is one. They filled, part of Operation Big City was they would fill like these glass bulbs, like light bulbs, with bacteria. And then they would go down into the New York subway system. And when the trains would go by, they would toss it in front of the train. It would break. And the train would drive through this cloud of bacteria. And then they could track how far into the train it made it before it was
And this happened too?
Yeah. This is, again, called Operation Big City.
Listen,
but the government's looking out for your best interest.
I live in a happy town, like, a lot of the time. Like, out of sight, out of mind. Ignorance is bliss. Like, most shit doesn't bother me.
So, they toss these light bulbs down at the subway tunnels to see how far they'd reach with the bacteria. In a DC bus station, along with like 30 other locations, the Army filmed their experiments. It reminds me of the bullies on The Simpsons. Videotaping our crime spree was the best idea ever.
4-finger discount, dude.
Yeah. Check it out. It's the kind I like.
It's the kind I like. Has a football on top of his fucking head.
So some of these experiments proved to be fatal. After bacteria sprayed over San Francisco, people died due to infections caused by that bacteria. Super fucking weird and not relevant to the world's situations currently.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Sure.
Not related at all. Irrelevant. Not the same thing. The agents.
Our government would never do that again.
Did it once. Why do we need
Why
to
did
do
you
it again?
invite him on this episode.
Honestly, I figured you would have a lot of fun with this episode because you think similar to how I think with this stuff. We'll bleep it. So yeah, these agents involved in these experiments.
Damn, what is this?
Let's be honest. We know the Army wasn't just the only ones doing this. Like the Army Chemical Corps wasn't the only guys getting down. After they got formed after 1948, the CIA was like, "Can we wet our beak in that too? Because we want to make groovy sauce and give it to people." So again, these guys dosed each other for fun. Like they made it a game. Like I told you, Dr. Ketchum. He would just dose people randomly. There was one guy that worked there, and I can't remember his name, but he was like 6'8".
Was Dr. Ketchum an American?
His name was Paul Wolf.
Okay.
No, Paul's taller.
Yeah, Paul tall.
But this guy was like 6'8", like 300 pounds. Big guy. So this guy would test all these drugs too, like before he gave them to people. So I gotta respect that. If you're gonna give somebody a bunch of groovy sauce, test it first.
Groovy sauce.
And he would do that. And then the problem was he would do these drugs and then rip the lab apart in like a fit of whatever drug he was in. He would do a bunch of PCP and just destroy the fucking lab. And they'd be like, well, fuck, like that was 3 weeks worth of work we got to put back. And then he just
became the smiley face killer.
He would just be out for a while.
He said, I used to do drugs.
I still do.
But I used to too.
We're going to take a break. Come back or we'll kill you.
Perfect.
Well, then fucking welcome back. If you're seeing this, we don't have to kill you. Which is good because I'm a lazy, lazy man.
If you're hearing it too, we also don't have to kill you.
No,
only
if you can see it.
Oh man!
If you can hear this but you can't see it,
we got to kill a lot of people.
That's why I said I'm a lazy man.
You're welcome.
Boys, calm down. Don't throw things in class, please.
That was aggressive, bro.
So
so sorry.
You're the one that gave him whiskey.
Whiskey.
Yeah, it's your fault.
You did this.
My bad.
So we were talking about these guys being general shitbags and dosing people without telling them, and experimenting on people without telling them. And these agents involved in these experiments, again, it wasn't just the Army Chemical Corps. The CIA had to wet their beak. They had to be involved. So they had to get real weird with it. They took dosing each other as a game. We talked about that one guy who was like 6'8", 300 pounds, and he would just do a bunch of drugs and then rip the lab apart and disappear for 3 days. You'd go out to coffee with him, and he'd be like, boop, in your coffee, and then like, you're like, what the fuck, dude? I've got like shit to do this afternoon. Not anymore.
Too bad. So sad.
Yeah, you are incapacitated for the weekend. So,
shit.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go visit my in-laws. Well, you're welcome.
Not deaf. Deaf.
Yeah, I got shit to do today. So dosing each other actually led to the death of Agent Frank Olson. He leapt to his death 9 days after he was unknowingly given LSD.
Was that Project Wormwood?
Is that AKA thrown from a window?
Yeah, I mean, so he leapt through the window. He didn't open the window. They set it up. It was like a 10th floor apartment, or a 10th floor hotel room.
You said he leapt, but didn't open the window.
Right, he didn't open the window, and he didn't open the drapes. He just because when the guy,
how do we know?
Because the guy on the floor who saw him hit looked up to see where he came from and could see the drapes blowing out the window.
What happened to the guy that saw it?
That's what he said happened.
But I mean, like after that,
nothing. Like he was just a witness. There were a bunch.
Okay.
There was enough. Not lining
Can't
up
kill
evidence.
Everybody, Robbie.
There was enough not lining up evidence.
I just assume they kill everyone, bro.
They try. They really fucking
or
try.
Or they're Ace Ventura, and he's like this, double pane glass, and
business card right there.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's over there.
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at it. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, you see the man.
Yeah. Can you feel that?
So yeah, there's actually there's a deal on Netflix, like a series on Netflix called Wormwood, and it's about Frank Olson and what happened to him. They take a little bit
his
of
family and shit, right?
They take some Hollywood liberties with it, but it's what happened was he developed like severe depression really fast after they gave him LSD. He didn't know what was happening. He knew what it was and he knew what it did.
He wasn't fucking ready for it.
He wasn't ready. Like, he was at a dinner party and, like, they just dropped it in a drink and then...
Unbeknownst to him.
Right, and then served drinks.
Fuck.
And so, like, some guys got it and some guys didn't. And the guys, like, he didn't have a good time. And, like, in the ensuing weeks, he just kind of kept declining and went downhill. He got paranoid. He had super high anxiety. So that's why they say he threw himself through this window. In reality, he was staying in this hotel room with another agent, with another CIA agent. And that guy was he was either on the crapper or he was asleep when it happened.
Is he Elvis?
Yeah, I mean, if I remember right, he was a big Italian man. So there was another guy named Harold Blower. He was a victim of these experiments as well. What was Harold? Question number 11.
Oh, shit.
What was Harold Blower's profession? Was he a doctor, a teacher, a concert violinist, or a tennis pro?
And we also didn't tell you, you've got 12 Hella Greg questions, but then I take over.
Then there's a Jesse story at the end of this.
A Jesse story?
There's a Jesse story. We got D, Paul sucks, and A. Give the points to Robbie. He was a tennis pro. All right, so Harold Blower was a professional tennis player.
Oh yeah.
He was in, he was in a psychiatric institute for depression, and he was being treated along with 5 others by these doctors. And 15 years and 1 lawsuit later, they found out he was being experimented on. His family found out.
For you audio listeners, Greg put quotes around treated and doctors.
How?
Yeah, because
How
did they find out he was being experimented? Because he died there.
He died there.
Greg
He died-
put quotes.
Yeah.
Is that you doing quotes?
Yeah. I mean, it's an alien
Hold it up.
calling me a producer
Other way.
with the biggest air
that
quotes
camera.
possible.
That's a much better one to go
Oh,
to.
my bad.
Yeah.
Greg doing quotes.
Yeah. You can get that in our sticker store.
SerialChillersPod.com. Check it out.
Boom. So his timeline, January 8th, 1953, between 9:53 and 9:57, he was injected with 450 milligrams of EA 1298. Now we call it MDMA. It was injected directly into his system so it couldn't be metabolized by his body. At 9:57, he became restless and had to be restrained. He was sweating profusely and flailing his arms wildly.
This was all under like
Under laboratory
yeah,
conditions.
yeah.
He checked into this place because he was feeling a little bummed out. He had depression.
Uh-huh.
He was in there to be treated for his depression. Good for him.
right.
This is what they were doing to him instead of treating him.
He was in the military.
No, he was a
No.
professional tennis player.
Oh yeah. I got that right.
Yeah, and
Instead of some Prozac,
yeah,
they
and
were like,
instead
"Yo,
of being
have you
like,
ever
hey,
tried 100
like,
doses
why are you?
of MDMA?"
Yeah, why are you feeling sad? Instead, they did this.
So he's a regular ass fucking guy.
No,
Yeah, I mean he's a professional tennis
But
player.
I mean,
but
like
yes.
he's just a civilian,
He's just a civilian.
regular ass guy.
Yes.
Checks himself into fucking
Psychiatric facility
this.
in Maryland.
And this place decides
Yes.
we're gonna do this.
The military decided we're going to experiment on him, and him.
And this guy said, "Okay," or
The doctors?
This? Oh no.
The doctors didn't have a choice.
No, remember
this guy.
the tennis pro.
Remember before we went to break, we said that these ones that Greg's going to talk about, these were ones that like they just did.
Oh,
just
okay.
they did it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Showed
they didn't.
people,
They did not
did it.
tell him, "Hey, we're going to experiment on you. Are
They
you
just
cool with
did
that?"
it.
Yeah, they just did this. Fuck. Yeah. So,
Robbie, your little bubble has been burst.
yeah. So,
well, dude, like, yeah, I agree. Like, a lot of this shit, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah."
yeah, it
But,
sounds like
right
fun,
now,
but
it's
you
like-
want to know about it,
Like, this guy was feeling depressed and like, I need help.
and so they.
But I'm also thinking 2023 terms.
Right. This is.
know.
Yeah. This is not that.
Yeah, obviously not. No. What,
So
pushing
at
60 years ago, 70, 80.
I think this was in the 70s.
Yeah.
I think.
But don't be mistaken, it still happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
I
it
don't
still
disagree.
happens.
I don't. Yeah.
So at 9:57, he became, after he got injected, he became restless and had to be restrained, sweating profusely and his arms flailing wildly. 10:01, he stiffens up in bed, clenches his teeth, and foams at the mouth. And this went on for about an hour.
And because they gave him what?
They gave him 450 milligrams of MDMA.
Fuck.
At 11:05, he continued talking and movement, still showing previous symptoms of foaming and tight muscles.
And they watched him.
They're watching
They
this
watched
happen.
this happen to him.
Imagine for an hour just every muscle in your body is like rigid. Like how exhausting that would be.
Like
and then
that's
you're just
literally something that is exhausting when you do it for 10 seconds.
I was gonna say do wall sits for an hour.
Has anybody ever done the party box? Where it's like the two poles and someone cranks the thing.
Yeah.
You just do it in your forearms.
Yeah.
You're dead. You're dead. So yeah, that's nearly unfathomable.
64 minutes of that.
All because he decided I'm going to check myself into this place to get some sort of help.
Because I'm kind of depressed.
I'm kind of depressed.
So roughly 90 minutes after the injection was completed, he collapsed into a coma and died. And then he was pronounced dead at 12:15 p.m.
I'm with you.
Listen.
Fuck the government.
Not depressed anymore.
True.
I mean, that's true.
That's true.
True.
That's true.
What makes this story
dead?
So what makes
But
this
not
story
depressed.
a little more sad is that the doctor who gave the injections was asked under oath what he gave him. And the doctor, under oath, his direct quote was, "We didn't know if it was dog piss or what it was." Because they didn't ask questions. The military gave him this and said, inject him. And he said, all right. And then tell us what happens. Okay. And that's that with that.
By the way, he died.
And then what happened to this doctor?
Nothing.
Nothing. Right?
No. What would happen to him?
What happened to what happened to the military? Nothing.
Right. I mean, like, I didn't know if it was dog piss or this. Like, okay, under oath, do you give him this?
Malpractice lawsuit? No.
Nothing.
Scot-free. Congress ordered that they were allowed to follow up on the subjects to look for long-term effects of the tests, and as part of a settlement with the courts. So Congress did say, "Hey, like you gotta check up on these guys. Like that's not cool." Question number 12: of the 7,000 subjects, half were experimented on with no knowledge. Of that half, how many were followed up with? So of the 3,500 who didn't have any knowledge that they were being experimented on, how many?
Is this
Yeah, closest to gets 250 points. 500 if you nail it.
I'm over. I feel like I'm over with this.
Casey says 170.
Yeah.
Robbie says 200.
Yeah.
Of the 3,500
You
human
got it,
test
for sure.
subjects, 220 were followed up on.
Shit.
And it was determined that there were no long-term physical effects.
That's way high.
I feel like of the 3,500 they should have checked up on, 220 seems way low.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems
Way low. 3,500?
3,500 people, and they checked on 220.
20?
Mm-hmm. And they said of that 220, there were no long-term physical effects.
I'm getting mad.
Good.
Like, I feel like
You should.
I'm getting mad at this.
Good.
Yeah.
He's just gonna call you later tonight, Bigfoot. He's like, "Yo, I have some questions."
We're going to Atwater tomorrow. He and I are going.
Yeah,
we're going
we
driving
got a
an
road
hour
trip
away. The whole fucking car ride is going to be
I'll give you some recommendations on
Oh.
shit to listen to like fuel that fire.
No, I'm going to listen to Arlene Wernos.
Eileen Wernos.
Yeah.
So of the 3,500, 220 were followed up on, determined there were no long-term physical effects. However, 24% reported psychological effects. Flashbacks, depression, and alcoholism led the pack of their complaints there. One guy checked out his service pistol from the armory, went back to his barracks, gave a class on how to disassemble and clean the pistol. He sat there and basically was like demonstrating for a classroom of people how to disassemble the pistol.
Uh-huh.
And he was interrupted by an officer who walked in and asked, "Son, what in the hell are you doing?" And he explained the class, and then he like kind of realized he was the only person in the room. There was no group of people.
There was no one else.
There was nobody else there. He was sitting there and he was giving the class to himself. But he thought it was a classroom full of people. He was having like an acid flashback.
Because they gave him acid?
They gave him BZ. They gave him acid. Who
Whatever
knows what they
it
gave
was.
him?
I mean, like, of all the weird trip outs you could have, that's kind of, it's
Yeah.
cool. You're like, oh shit, there's no class here. Well, my gun's clean. That's cool.
But he went to the armory and checked out a weapon while having an acid flashback.
This episode's really tripping me
How
out.
was he able to do that, I guess, is the biggest question here.
Fuck.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm
not a doctor, but
like,
apparently neither were these
like,
guys.
Obviously, this is shit that I don't know, so it's really, really tripping me out. That
It's fucking weird, dude.
I know that like government's in your best interest and yada 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 and all that, but like, dang man,
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Happy Town is no longer Happy Town.
So
you yada yada sex.
I yada yada the bisque.
So once it dawned on him that he was in fact the only person in the room, he reassembled his pistol and went and turned it back in. He wasn't able to get any help. He partially because he was in the military in the early 1950s. You know, there's a certain stigma about mental health. If you went and talked to an army psychiatrist, you're going to be treated differently.
Yeah.
And he would have been discharged as being mentally unstable. He wouldn't have been able to. He said, I wouldn't have been able to provide for my wife and 5 or 6 kids.
5 or 6?
I mean, they gave him enough acid that he gave a class to nobody.
Yeah.
Bart.
Yeah, I feel like
Lisa.
And the other one.
The other one. And all the rest.
Who is Margaret Simpson?
Lady, you got the wrong file. That's Maggie.
That's Maggie.
Oh, I got nothing against her. So he internalized all this shit. There were reports of others becoming physically violent. One man put his wife through a wall. Like he had different guy. Separate guy. Yeah. He said he came to and had his wife by the neck and had put her through like the drywall in their kitchen. Yeah. And then was like, oh shit. And like, what the fuck? Yeah. And like freaked out. Yeah, there were reports of people becoming physically violent. One man put his wife through the wall and didn't remember anything. Later, as a result of the depression, he committed suicide. One soldier became an epileptic and suffering from a variety of seizures while still raising a family and staying in the military and trying to convince himself that he wasn't going crazy because he was having acid flashbacks and then he was having seizures and then having all that happen throughout and not being able to tell anybody anything because a lot of these guys... There was a certain amount of NDA. Like you're not allowed to reveal what happened. Yeah. But like I said,
they signed this.
Yeah, they're in the military. This is classified. You're not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to tell anybody about it. They're not. You're not allowed to tell a psychiatrist about it. You can't tell your family. So your family doesn't know what you've been going through. They don't know that you just spent 6 weeks in the wood being dosed with acid to amnesia, and then are now back trying to live a normal life. So. The guys seemed to not be apologetic about this in the slightest. Dr. Ketchum said that had more people known what was involved, he thinks they would have had more volunteers. And he said he regards the whole thing, quote, as a generally positive experience.
For who?
For the doctors,
For the
exactly.
doctors,
like there was zero aftercare provided. Something worth noting: the guys in this documentary, they use the term shell shocked a lot.
I think I need to like stop thinking in terms of now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm going to say. I mean? They use the term shell shocked a lot.
Even now, do like we take care of veterans?
No, you're not wrong in that, but like how at least I can only speak for me, but like how important we emphasize how important mental health is. And like taking care of yourself.
Yeah, that's within like the last 3 years.
Oh no! I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. And like hearing this is just like
it's super disheartening,
fucking depressing.
So again, they use the term shell shocked a lot because they didn't know what PTSD was.
Oh yeah.
So these guys have a term called shell shocked, which describes when your brain's hurt.
Yeah.
Like they don't know.
Those concussive blasts.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on in here is actually like something going seriously wrong. But they're still trying to control minds with like MK Ultra, and they're still trying to astral project, and they're still trying to do all this dumb shit, but they don't understand that they're scarring people for life and destroying their brains. These guys were shell shocked, but they had PTSD and they didn't know what it was. They knew it wrecked your head, but they didn't know how to fix it.
And how to deal with it.
Yeah, these motherfuckers are trying to crack a human brain with drugs, and they don't even understand PTSD. Hallucinogens are now being used to help treat PTSD, and these assholes could have been at the forefront of this stuff. They could have actually used it to help people, and instead, they're like, nah. Like they could have been helping people whose lives were ruined by sending them to die in pointless wars and ruining their minds by exposing them to these awful things. And they could have been helping them, but they chose not to. They had potentially a solution right in front of them the entire time, and we were so busy trying to weaponize it that they got lost in the sauce. And what really kills me is there's a soldier who was isolated from the rest. He was told it was because he was black, and he was isolated to protect him from the other soldiers who wanted to kill him.
What?
I don't know.
But no, and this guy, they talked to him afterwards. They interviewed him. This poor fucking guy. He said he was kept on LSD for a very long time, but he can't remember if it was a month or 3 months. That it was like 24 hours a day for 90 days. Continuous. Like you go to sleep on LSD. You have LSD dreams. You wake up on LSD. That's your new normal for 90 days. And it's, again,
That's probably kind of tight, to be honest.
Between 6 and 100 doses. Between 6
maybe
and
not
100.
that much.
Between 6 and 100 times a dose every dose.
It's like having you drink it. They just give you a shot glass in the morning. They're like, yeah, it's just all LSD. We'll give you some orange juice after.
Ooh. That sounds all right.
We are very extremes on this tonight.
And this guy said, after in this interview, he said the whole thing tugs at his patriotism.
Yeah.
He's still loyal after this. Like he signed up to fight for what he believes in,
right?
Regardless of what the actual intention was of the wars. You're told that you're out there fighting so the rest of the world can live like you're allowed to live.
Right.
You're spreading freedom.
Right.
That's what he believed in. That's what he wanted to do. And they did this to him. They kept him on LSD, isolated for 90 days.
Right. So like, fuck him, but the country.
Right. But here's the happy ending. At least they can sue the government, right? No, you can't. The U.S. government has immunity by all services.
Right.
So when you sign
on
up,
the dotted line.
when you sign up, you're literally signing it all away. So,
bro, this episode is making me mad.
Well, good, because we're done. That's the end of my freaking report.
Well, the moral of the story is read the fine print before you sign your life over to the government.
Yeah, and then just also maybe don't.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where Jesse and I just live in Happy Town.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
bro,
he
Town's
has
not
to
happy.
deal. He has to
Oh,
deal
I'm
with this
happy
shit
a
all the
lot
time
of the
because I
time.
text him.
Town's not
I text him this shit, and I'm like, "Hey, do
don't-
you realize that this, and that are happening?" He's like, "I don't want to hear this."
I wouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
I would not watch it.
So
Yeah, I get glimpses.
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
So that's the end of my freaking report. That's all I've got for Edgewood. Jesse has the last 2 questions and a story for you.
Just, throw to one more and we'll do it. Just
Yeah.
a quick switch.
So we're gonna go to another break. Come back and we'll fucking kill you.
Welcome back, everybody. Even if you're back, Greg, I'm still sending Greg out to kill you. That's just how we're doing it. All right. So this story is taken mostly from a write-up by Syrian Varley in a bbc.co.uk article titled simply, "The Teen Who Shot His Parents."
Oh.
Question number 13. In what year did this event take place? 250 points to the closest, 1,000 points if you can nail it.
And for what it's worth, you got like Bigfoot there. You need to nail it.
In what year did this event take place? All right. Robbie says 2013. Bigfoot says 2016. A tragedy just took place because Robbie nailed it for 1,000 points.
Fuck yeah!
Putting the lead to just an insurmountable amount. Question number 14 will be just for funsies and for Robbie to possibly break the record for most amount of points scored. I don't know officially what it is, but 3,000 is a high score.
That's a high,
Yeah, 3,000 seems up.
Okay, so
Can I guess what the story is?
sure.
Not for anything, but like, is it the kid that killed his parents and had a party?
No, that's
but-
Tyler Hadley.
but we
I
have
feel like we
covered
did that.
that.
Y'all did that before.
Yeah, we have.
That's what
we
I
have
thought of.
covered that. So this is a different one. It starts with a quote from the young man who is the teen who shot his parent. It says, quote, "I walked into their bedroom. I raised the gun. I don't know why. And then I remember having these really quick thoughts of, you don't have to do it. But they were so quick and like suddenly gone that I didn't really have a chance to think about it. And before I realized that, I had done it. I'd pulled the trigger and the gun had gone off. I fired again and then I fired again. I ran down the hallway and I sat down on the stairs, and that's when it really clicked what I had done." So that's a direct quote from the confession of Nathan Brooks, a 16-year-old run-of-the-mill high school student. On March 8th, 2013, he would do just as he told us and put multiple bullets into the heads of his parents. He did so with the Smith & Wesson .22 revolver. And he had removed it from a locked box in a separate bedroom earlier that night. So before they all went to bed, he snuck into a separate room that contained guns. Yeah, whatever. He stole the key. I don't think they were a family checked on the guns every evening, So he took a key, got the revolver, took it to his room, let his parents go to sleep. So there are cameras inside the house that showed Nathan in his underwear running through the house with a revolver in his hand just before he'd run in and shoot his parents. Almost like he was psyching himself up. Yeah. I didn't see the footage, but I did see stills from the footage. And it's he's in a white t-shirt, white tidy whities. Well, there's footage from in the house. They have, the shooting. Yeah. They had a living room camera or whatever. And yeah, there's footage of him in his underwear running through the house before he shot his parents. So he had shot his mother below one eye and some other not as serious places, and his father had been shot multiple times in the head, including the forehead. Beyond all odds, both of his parents survived. Even more insane, they were, and I know it's a .22, but getting shot in the head with any caliber weapon is generally going to be
and 22s, we've talked about this. 22s are the most deadly.
It does the
ricochet.
Yeah. So even more insane, they were both conscious, and John, Nathan's father, was able to make a call to 911 in which he'd tell them that he had just woken up and his whole family had been shot.
I remember this now.
He had been shot in the forehead, in the cheek, and I think once in the chest. And the mom got one here and a couple in the shoulder. And both of them were just awake.
This is a fucked up episode, guys.
He's like, man, I got kids. They might do this shit.
The entire event was seemingly out of nowhere, as relatives, teachers, and other students were all quite complimentary of Nathan and his behavior. Essentially, they went out and they were searching for someone that would be all right, yeah, he said some fucked up stuff about his parents, and I didn't know who to tell, but
kid.
Just everybody he knows, his grandparents, his aunts, his uncles are no idea. Who the fuck knows? So
it had to be video games.
No one saw any signs of anything like this in his future. While in police custody, Nathan seemed very willing to tell his story, and he was absolutely crushed by what he had done. The police say, we've seen kids fake remorse, and we've seen kids have remorse. This is a kid who had remorse. He was remorseful for what he had done. He was not stoked that he'd shot his parents.
You can't unshoot your parents in the head, jackass.
Yeah. When he was told that his parents had survived, he was extremely relieved. Also, during the police interview, an officer asks Nathan what he had intended to do with the gun that night, to which Nathan replied, quote, "What a gun does, kill." There seems to be very little that pushed Nathan to get to this point. He had gotten grounded from electronics, made to do extra chores that weekend, and miss a basketball tournament that he was to play in due to a detention that he had received. Oh, God. So his parents were a little bit on the strict, hey,
I wouldn't even say on the stricter side.
Yeah,
I would not even
you
say
got
that.
a detention. You were an asshole in school. You don't get to do your tournament this weekend. You're doing extra chores, and I get your iPad.
Yeah, you're a regular ass fucking parent, quote unquote, disciplining their kid.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I initially ran across a story about kids who killed because of video games.
Yeah.
And that's he had got his electronics taken away. And that's all I even put in here. And that's even this article I appreciated. That's all they had to.
Yeah.
They weren't because he got his video games taken away, it turned him into a murdery fuckface kid.
Right.
I'm not saying he wasn't a fuckface because he had other reasons for it apparently, but apparently his parents were, like I said, on the stricter side, and you're no. And I'm also a dad, and I'm also, I don't know, my kids aren't at the age of detention yet, but
right. But they're at the age of discipline in school.
Yeah, taking shit away. And,
yes.
Yeah. So Nathan says that having the basketball tournament taken away from him was like the click.
Yeah.
The prosecuting attorney wanted Nathan to be tried as an adult, although he was only 14 at the time of the attack. Wow. The attorney, Angus Lee, argued that if he tried a juvenile, he would only be held until he was 21 and then be free and then likely be a danger to society. The court decided to try him as an adult. The two
at 14.
Well, he's 16 now.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But he was 14 when he committed the crime.
Yeah.
One of the 2 counts of attempted murder, Angus Lee was claiming that Nathan would do between 40 and 50 years in prison. Since his parents were in the middle of it all, they said that they were actually left out of the loop quite a bit. And John would say, the father, quote, "The prosecutor's office wouldn't talk to us because we were the parents of the accused. The defense attorneys wouldn't really talk to us because we were the victims. So we didn't really know what was going on at any time. But we did feel that Nathan did need to be punished," he explains, adding, "Part of the realization we've come to is that we couldn't provide the treatment that Nathan needed. The court could provide that." So his parents are like, yeah,
they seem pretty like
he needs to be punished, but like we also like need to be a part of this. I feel like,
yeah, they seem super reasonable for 2 people who got shot in the head by their kid.
Supportive.
So
yeah,
they
if,
were.
If this is the one I'm thinking of, like the 2 parents in court were like, "Oh, we forgive our son." And,
Right.
It is. So they not in court, in an arraignment, because he pleads out due to. I mean, they literally have due to. Many people come in and speak to his character in an arraignment, so he avoids the trial, which leads to the last question. Just for funsies, throwing up a Hail Mary.
Just for funsies.
Question 14. For how long will Nathan be sentenced to prison? He's going to take a plea deal. That's what it is. It's a plea deal that he gets for. I'm not gonna tell you what it's for. I'm just gonna let you guess what it is because. Okay, Bigfoot says 18. Robbie says 10 years. Nathan got 15 and a half. I would have taken 15 years in prison. Yeah, he takes a plea deal. Okay, shoots his parents in the face. What do you think he would be charged with? Like, they didn't die. Okay, so what's that when you try to kill somebody?
I would say,
25.
No, I'm saying what's the
attempted murder,
attempted
assault
murder.
with a deadly weapon.
Yeah, that's what he pleaded out to, was 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon.
Aggravated assault.
Not attempted murder.
Nope.
But assault with a deadly.
I mean, he only got 15 and a half years. Attempted murder would have been that like 40 to 50 year sentence. But because of all the character witnesses and his parents
He's such a good boy.
We forgive him. And yeah. You were right. You totally nailed it. That's his parents like came to his aid. He would take a plea deal for 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, and in February of 2016, Nathan was sentenced to 15 and a half years in prison. His parents are still in contact and regularly visit him in prison. His mother says that she is glad they didn't die so that Nathan doesn't have to carry that with him. What a fucking lady, huh?
Hey, but give me the points, though.
Oh.
No, that's Bigfoot's points. It's 15 and a half. He said 18. You said 10.
What did you say?
18.
Oh,
yeah, Bigfoot's points. Yeah.
I still won, though.
Yeah, you did win. So he takes a plea deal. Yeah. His mom's like, what a lady, right? Like, I'm glad we didn't die, so he didn't have to carry that with him. Like, what?
That's a mom.
I remember watching the video because they have video of them talking about it.
There's a whole documentary that also titled, I think it's the teen that shot his parents, but I watched like a much shortened version of it. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. After somebody shot me in the face, how...
Yeah, like I said,
you don't know how you're going to react till it happens.
You and I are homies, but if you shoot me in the face, dude, we're not friends anymore.
But homies is a different connection than a child and their parent. True. Like, totally different thing.
Me and Greg don't know about that. So.
Child free for life.
Jesse.
So Nathan is still trying to come with grips for what he did under his psychiatric... for what he did and is under psychiatric care and has years worth of observations, and they do not believe that he has any personality disorders or any antisocial traits. So literally he's getting the best that a prison can offer in mental health care, and everybody's like, nah.
It's just a guard who's like, go back to your cell, lay down, shut up.
So I mean, he's multiple psychiatrists, psychologists, people have come in, they've tested him, and he is diagnosed with nothing that you would expect for somebody who went in and shot their parents in the middle of the night. Said that, like, voices told me not to for a second, but I just did it anyway. His main doctor stated that they hadn't observed anything in him that would lead them to believe that he was at all psychotic. The only diagnosis that he has received since being incarcerated is clinical depression, which I feel like if anybody got incarcerated, you probably just lead to that. So,
you know what the treatment is for that?
Cocaine?
450 milligrams of MDMA straight to the brain.
Just be a CIA volunteer.
Yeah. Got you.
Okay, so yeah. So this is the last quote from Nathan. It says, "Quote: To sit there and think, and not know why was terrible, and knowing that that you caused so much pain. Not having the answer was very, very difficult." He's saying like he didn't know why he did it. Yeah, I felt very guilty about it because how could I do such a thing and not even know why?
That's rough.
Yeah,
that's rough.
That's like how the story of like possessions come about. You know what I mean? I have no idea why they did this.
Right.
Devil made me do it.
Thinking like from a parental side, like what could I have done differently?
Well, that was just what they said is like we tried
this.
Yeah.
Like, could I have loved him more? Could I have I
should have let him play in that basketball tournament.
More affirmation.
That's the answer right there. So his parents supportive. They visit him all the time. Nathan is due for release in 2028.
You know what he sounds like?
Go ahead.
He sounds like a kid who's never had adversity. You know what I mean? He sounds like a kid.
It was like the first time they really like buttoned down on. Like, you're not doing the tournament. No electronics.
Like somebody
no Pokemon for you.
Yeah, somebody folded every time, and he finally the parents were like, okay, we're gonna stick to this one. And when they finally stuck to it, he didn't know. He's Eric Cartman. He didn't know how to react to being told no. So he made it into a way bigger thing than it had to be.
No, because go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, that's the show. That's what I got. Robbie's the victor. Let him play his theme song one time.
Love you. Peace out.
I'm out. What's the deal with Ovaltine? It's not round. They should call it Roundtine.
That's gold, Robbie. Gold.
Congratulations, Robbie, on your victory. Quite a high score, my friend.
Yeah, doubled him up. That doesn't happen to Bigfoot often.
That's all right. We got plenty more episodes.
But I'm still the one that doesn't cry.
Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Who wins here?
True.
Who wins here?
I cry. Ladies, hit me up. I cry.
Bigfoot, is there anything you'd like to add from the podium still?
Don't trust
Second place podium.
Yeah, baby.
Don't trust the government.
Don't trust it. That's probably some of the most sage advice we've had.
And just so you know, government, I know you're listening to this. If I have the chance,
oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, not me.
All right, hello, Greg. Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, he nailed it, dude.
You mean I gotta follow that?
Yeah, I mean, what am I? I'll triple stamp his double stamp. Hell yeah!
Oh, yeah. La 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 la.
All right, guys, go to serialchillerspod.com for everything. The social media grams, the Threadless store goes to there. So if you want to wear something with our dumb faces or one of our dumb sayings, Threadless store, connected through Serial Chillers Pod. If you want to give to the show monthly, patreon.com. The next episode you see will be from our new office. Help us pay for it. Patreon.com. You guys, every level gives you something. We try to give back in an equal way. And if you don't want to give monthly, totally understandable too. We have a way where you can just give a one-time donation, serialchillerspod.com. So do that. Hang out with us. Join the Discord if you want. It's super fun. It's a lot of true crime, but a lot of stuff that's not true crime. So, hang out with us. If you want to hang out with us, that's the best way to do it. We're always in the Discord. You can find that through serialchillerspod.com. Greg, throw the contact up real quick because I can't remember P.O. Box 1229, Clovis, California, 93613. You can call or text us 1-805-666-2513. Does anybody have anything important to add?
Lonelyfans.com with 2 Z's.
Robbie McFly on Instagram. Hit me up.
For Bigfoot, for Robbie, and for Hella Greg, I am Cromulent Jesse. Remember, don't talk to strangers. Okay, bye.